For years, I've been watching Red vs. Blue. The more small details stand out to me, the more I can't help but wonder what the bigger picture is. A story told in the background of the show, possibly. I obsessed over the show and formed theories that, honestly, I've been too lazy to make videos on. But in this future, I want to search through every inch of the show and find the truth. I must travel through time and finish my theories. Finally, I can find out how Red vs. Blue pays off the prophecy, and who the Great Destroyer really is. Wait, so you're saying that Season 6 all the way to Season 13 relives the prophecy for Season 4 and 5? And Season 13 could be the very end of the prophecy? Season 13 starts with Locus and Felix hijacking a prisoner ship.
Huh?
No survivors.
Sector 1, clear.
And recruiting what prisoners they could. In the process, they reintroduced the counselor, now named Aiden Price, and Sharkface, the flamethrower trooper that Carolina and Wash defeated when stealing the engineer from Charon in the first place, back in the good old days of Project Freelancer. While the Reds and Blues and the Feds and News are at war with the Mercs and the Space Pirates, they discover that the Mercs have been exploring more than just alien weapons. Much like the Temple of Gravity on the planet, they've also been researching other temples. The Temple of Arms is the first one that the Reds and Blues investigate. Emily Gray is using her archaeology skills, because she has all sorts of skills because she's a genius, to try and translate the language on the temple wall, while Tucker pretends to have a rematch with Felix, and suddenly a holographic lock presents itself. As Tucker gets closer, an alien AI reveals itself and Tucker slashes at it, accidentally activating the temple. They discover this temple is a giant cache of weapons, one of the many things that the blue alien would have wanted to claim, most likely using them to help with the Great War against the UNSC, because around that time, if he had taken the ship, that's when the war was going on.
What's up?
After Tucker fails to speak its language, it hides the weapons and gives them a location of another temple to go to.
You just activated technology that's been dormant for thousands of years. And now I think it wants you to go somewhere.
Also, in the process, they discover, as well as the Mercs, that the activation of this temple shorted out the Mercs' prototype weapons because it tried to activate the alien parts of them, frying them completely, thus balancing the scales even further. The testing temple is the next temple they investigate. The Blues show up with Carolina and Emily, and each Blue enters the temple to be tested, as Emily reveals that only a being of great strength and mental clarity may enter successfully. Tucker enters, and even though he has the first sword, he fails and faces thousands of Felix and Locus clones, not being strong enough yet. Carolina enters, and she sees all of the freelancers, who she reveals later she had to watch all die, and then she sees the Reds and Blues all die, leading her to fear that she won't be strong enough to take down the enemies and save her friends, her second family. I've mentioned in the first time travel video that I think the temple's connected to the time distortion unit. Maybe even the origins of it, because, it shows people the past or future, and the teleportation technology linked to it is connected to the future cubes. Teleportation technology, past, future, and that's what the time distortion unit is in a nutshell. This makes me think that if Chorus is connected to the prophecy, then this temple could be what was used to prophesize the entire thing. Then that vision could have been stored within the engineer. Maybe it was even the engineer's vision, if the engineers had anything to do with the construction of Chorus. They eventually realize that Caboose is dumb, empty-headed, and sends him in, hoping that he matches the mental clarity thing. This hints at what Gamma said, the Great Destroyer is the stupidest life form. Caboose activates the temple properly, revealing an alien AI whom he names Santa, which, when you think about it, is like when the military names their project after Greek myth, so it's not really that dumb. Caboose doing this and proving that he's a true warrior now passes his Great Destroyer torch along to someone new. Santa says that one of the temples on Chorus was activated without the Great Key, which shouldn't have been possible. The Gravity Temple, Locus and Felix have, which is probably why Charon wanted the orb in Season 7.
It is now clear to me that although your key comes from another world, it was in fact forged by my creators, and is therefore acceptable.
Sweet!
Caboose uses his dumb guy exposition abilities to say that it's like a spare.
Of course, in case you'd like one in your car.
A spare because Santa reveals more temples around the planet, such as a weather temple, which I've said before is connected to the weather machine that Sarge had in Lopez, in my opinion. One of the temples holds another key, or sword, that they can use to activate any of the temples on the planet, including the Temple of Communications.
We just gotta activate that temple and call for help.
And if the wielder thinks that the people of Chorus aren't worthy, they can use the key to activate a temple called the Purge, which is used to kill all inhabitants on the planet.
As its bearer, the Great Key will remain bonded to you and you alone until the time of your death.
Unless, of course, you flatline for 5 seconds.
I think the prophecy sets up that the hero claims the spare key so that they can stop the one who claims the Chorus key from destroying the planet. This is where we also learn that all the temples get an update for the location of the testing temple. So the Mercs actually showed up first. Locus and Felix enter the temple, and while we don't see Felix's vision at first, we see Locus in his past in one moment specifically that defines him. In this scenario, Locus played the part of a creature that his past self and his team, including Felix, referred to as a monster. This is his team during the Great War. They couldn't understand anything he said and ultimately kill him. And according to Miles, he feared becoming a monster that no one understood, hence why he's always trying to understand Wash, convince him that they're alike. However, Wash continues to keep proving him wrong. Sharkface emerges later as the Blues finish with the temple and find out the Mercs now know about the second key. Sharkface radios Felix and Locus, and Felix rushes to the temple to claim it. After the Blues manage to get out of the situation they're in, they radio Doyle to send men to the temple so that they can get the key first. Without any reinforcements to spare, Doyle goes himself, with the help of Donut and Lopez. At the Temple of the Key, Doyle claims the key and Felix eventually scares him into giving it up, but unfortunately for Felix, it's now genetically locked to Doyle. Tucker's team shows up, and he has the opportunity to take down Felix, but he fails as the hero to summon the courage, so Felix escapes with the help of Locus. Carolina also runs into Sharkface and learns that he was from the engineer's heist. She also learns that he wants revenge for her part in killing his friends, the security force. Because of her vision, she overutilizes her suit and her armor abilities and weakens Epsilon, causing her to fail and be defeated by Sharkface. In Season 12, Epsilon was talking to the other minds about Carolina having dreams about Sigma that kept her up. I think it would be interesting if her dream about Sigma was somehow foreshadowing her facing off with Sharkface again. Sigma could be symbolizing Sharkface in her dream since she faced him in the heist while he used fire. She then got Sigma, who looked like fire. Like she got it as a prize for defeating him, now having dreams of Sigma right before he returns. Doc also reemerges at the temple, and the Blues reveal they didn't even know he was gone. He said he was trapped in another dimension where time and space made no sense and there was no logic. So I guess he was just teleported to the Shizno Paradox trilogy. Regardless, finding out his friends forgot him, he turned into O'Malley again. This could be Fate's way of passing the torch to Felix. I'll explain soon. So finally, the Mercs decide to attack the Chorus Army's capital in order to kill Doyle and give full control of the sword to Felix. Now that all of Locus and Felix's men are in the capital, as one final Hail Mary attack, the Reds and Blues decide to evacuate the city and blow it up with a nuclear reactor, decimating Charon's forces. In the process, Carolina faces off against Sharkface in the streets. Carolina apologizes for what she did to Sharkface in the past. Then she continues to fight Sharkface, letting him wear himself out, until she has no choice but to let Wash and Kimball fill him with bullets. I think this happens to teach her she doesn't have to be the best, lessening her reliance on Epsilon, so she can pass him back to Tucker later. And due to the unfortunate circumstances, Doyle realizes that he needs to activate the core himself, giving his life for the heroes. This gives Felix the sword fully, and him and Locus head to the Purge to kill the whole planet.
Kimball finally rallies the feds and the news together.
Tucker then activates the Temple of Arms one more time so they can attack another temple, the Temple of Communications, so that they can radio for help and win the war. Meanwhile, Wash and Carolina and Epsilon meet the Mercs at the Purge Temple to stop them from using it. Carolina fights Felix since Tucker still can't, and Wash keeps trying to convince Locus that he's a monster if he keeps trying to kill them. He also insists that he continues to hide from the truth, from himself. This is where the story of the Great Destroyer comes to climax. Felix has the key, so he would be activating the Purge. So is he the Great Destroyer? Well, the episode is called The Great Destroyers, but Gamma said there was only one being that is the Destroyer. Think about this.
I said a long time ago that I thought all the AI fragments had little bits of the prophecy bestowed upon them, especially since Gamma seemed to know the Great Journey and the Great Destroyer, and there's been evidence that the other fragments have had roles to play as well.
What do they have to worry about?
Pelican crashes, lightning strikes. Hey, maybe they know something we don't.
This is where we get Theta's part in the whole prophecy. Theta represents Felix in the prophecy. He was given Agent North because North had the personality that could nurture Theta. Theta needed to be taken care of to function. He also ran the shield for North, and when the Meta picked him up, he also got the shield. Theta became part of the second darkness there. The EMP killed Theta, and when the Meta died, it was revealed that Charon took the Meta's suit and upgraded his armor abilities to not need AI. Locus was given Tex's Invis unit, and Felix got the shield. It mirrors Tucker's sword, who is the hero of the prophecy. It's later revealed to Locus by Santa what Felix's vision was. That his worst fear was Locus, because while Locus can survive without Felix, Felix cannot do the same without Locus. Locus always wanted to be the perfect weapon, and he has an X on his helmet. In the Greek alphabet, much like the AI's names, X is key. Locus, the weapon, and key, Felix can't live without. Felix is the final darkness. The shield was the torch passed from the Meta to Felix. And if he can't live without Locus, Locus is responsible for Felix. He's the reason Felix is even alive anymore. He's the only reason he was able to claim the key. Locus is the destroyer, a weapon. The weapon that Wash has been trying to retrieve by convincing him his ideology is flawed. The Invis unit went to Locus, Tex's armor ability. You may say Omega ran it, so it represents him, but after she stopped using Omega, like when Omega was knocked out of her head in Season 2, she still used the ability because she knew she was an AI. So the Invis represents her.
And she's always represented failure. Omega failed when getting her in Season 5, the Meta failed when getting her in Season 8, the Director failed because he couldn't live without her, and Felix can't live without Locus.
And if Locus knows, and they've both been trying to find a way to prove who is better, Locus or Felix, that was Felix's failure. Locus was his failure. Now this gets complicated.
The two songs in this episode are called Fatum Iustum Stultorum 1 and 2.
This is a reference to the game Marathon 2, which has a level named that. In that level, this phrase is a reference to the fact that one character crashed his ship onto a moon and died, and another made an epitaph that read this phrase, which means, the just fate of the foolish. The last and only time we've seen Marathon mentioned in RVB was in Season 3, in the episode that they first mentioned the Great Destroyer. And the first thing we see? A lava map that Church is at when he finds himself in the past. We find out later that the monitor that Church was in the crashed ship on Sidewinder, so this could very well be saying that the lava map mentioned here represents the Purge Temple, the first and last mentions of the Great Destroyer. And later, Santa calls Locus a fool, and it's saying that the fate of this fool is that he is the Great Destroyer.
And I think they really wanted us to pick up on this clue because there's two things called the Purge in this season.
But on the other side of this, it could also be talking about the fate of the fool in the lava map in Marathon. I've said that the Church clones went off to the offsite storage facility, in my opinion, so the only person we could have seen there last was Yellow Church.
Hold on a second.
Because if Church escaped the time loop, he would have been blown to the future. Yellow Church would have been blown back to the past, back to the hallway. and if he was the only one there, right outside that hallway, is the lava map. Him in the lava map, Locus and Felix at the Purge. The mirror of this could confirm that Yellow Church is named Z, like the symbols on Locus and Felix's helmet.
And in my Engineering the Prophecy video, I have many examples connecting Yellow Church to the Great Destroyer,
continuing to tell me that Z represents the Destroyer, him coming first, Locus coming last. But I've said that Locus is the only Destroyer, right? Well, Felix has the sword in this situation, and in the Greek alphabet, X can replace Z. And because Locus is the Great Destroyer, and because of who he works for, Charon is the great doom that the Destroyer is destined to bring upon millions who turn out to be Chorus, and if successful, the galaxy with his power. And much like the lava map being inside a ship crash, the Temple of the Purge is in a ship crash.
Son of a bitch.
Once Carolina and Wash arrive at the Communications Temple, meaning all 3 seasons involve sending a transmission, 11, 12, and 13, Carolina gives Tucker Epsilon, the key. Now that Carolina has faith in herself, the twin passes the key to the hero. Once in the temple, Locus and Felix are revealed to have survived the explosion, and Felix goes on to attack the Reds and Blues.
Now, without Locus, Felix can't stand up to the Reds and Blues' full teamwork.
I'm the original bad boy.
Locus then shows up and throws down his gun.
No.
What? We need each other. What about our orders?
No more killing.
Letting the Reds and Blues do what they want. This means that Wash has retrieved the key and weapon, aka Locus, for the hero. You could always say that Santa was one of the people who helped convert Locus, but honestly, if it weren't for Wash, the things Santa tell Locus about how Felix can't live without him probably would have just prompted him to kill Felix and then still kill the Reds and Blues. Wash is the one who made him realize the right thing to do. In his rage, Felix throws the sword at Locus, and the Reds and Blues trap him.
Now Tucker, as the hero, learns to trust his friends in taking down Felix, learning from his vision in the temple.
And Tucker throws the final blow to defeat the darkness.
Wait!
Locus gets the weapon like the Destroyer is supposed to, as he claims the sword and activates the temple so Epsilon can send their distress call to the whole galaxy.
I'm going to make things right. But not from inside a cell.
If you run, we'll find you.
No. You won't.
Locus disappears and Hargrove arrives as the Great Doom. As Hargrove starts dropping mantis bots on the colonists and the pirates alike to cover up his tracks, the Reds and Blues realize they have to get to his ship to shut them down.
But in order to do that, we need to go to the source.
Pizza, anyone?
Once aboard the ship, they find Phyllis still alive, who betrays the chairman and leads them to the trophy room, and Tucker deactivates all the mantis droids. Here, Griff gets his Griff shot back. Gee, I wonder if this is permanent. And Epsilon discovers and reveals to Tucker
What the hell?
Tucker, the hero, has just gained the final weapon. The powers in the prophecy that Andy said that the hero would get. And the key, Epsilon. Epsilon realizes, though, that he can't run the suit alone. The only way to do this is to use the memories of the other fragments and delete himself, inspired by Doyle's sacrifice. He says his goodbyes to his friends and activates the weapon for the hero to stop the Great Doom. Now, to me, the Great Prophecy is complete. Here's the thing. My videos are about things I feel like were explained in Red vs. Blue, but only subtly, and I wish they'd be explained directly. And I'm not saying these things definitely happened, I'm just saying it looks a lot to me like they did. And they very well could have. As one more attempt to convince people of my theories,
If the director did in fact create the prophecy from Season 4, then why is it in the character profile for the Green Alien, it says that he studied the prophecy his whole life, and even multiple lives? How could the rules for the sword in the prophecy be exactly the same as the rules for the sword on Chorus? If the alien knew about the rules of the sword and it just happened to be exactly the same as on Chorus, the director couldn't have invented the prophecy himself. Furthermore, if Wyoming has a time distortion unit, and he was using simulations to train with it, why would they put him through simulations involving situations that couldn't happen? If Church's time loop was only a simulation in a computer, how did the Reds and Blues know about the time travel? Not to mention, simulations don't have to mean fake in a computer. They could easily be false scenarios in real life using the technology they already have, such as the time distortion unit. Either all these details are the biggest coincidence in the history of shows, or I've got to be onto something. And it actually gives rewatchability to the show. It's telling a time travel and prophecy story in the most unique way possible, not even mentioning it for the rest of the show after bringing it up earlier in the show. Just leaving small details here and there for you to pick up on. It's like the situation from Season 3 and 4 never stopped. And it definitely adds to the recursion concept of Church trying to save Tex. For a show that one of the main themes was recursion, the fact that there are time loops and repetitive moments could logically tie into the overall theme. We deal with multiple seasons involving time travel in the prophecy, and then the other seasons have clues here and there and reference it from time to time. Yet we see 5 seconds of a state blowing up in the background, and the automatic assumption is that Project Freelancer destroyed that state to cover up Florida's death, even though that was never even stated. Like a 5-second image isn't a simulation, but all this other stuff is without any explanation as to how it was pulled off? I don't buy that. I've seen all these details and I can't unsee them, so to me that's just how the show is. With all the similarities and coincidences in the show, to me it looks like they did this on purpose. And I'm not saying I got everything right, but I feel like I got pretty damn close. That's one of the many reasons I can't enjoy the show after Season 14. They try to tell stories like this, but without actually answering this. They just make it its own separate thing. I can't accept that. As stupid as that sounds, I'm a huge fan of the show, and to tell a story like that, to disregard all the other seasons, is just ridiculous to me. All I'm trying to do is help Red vs. Blue fans see the show how I see it, in my OCD obsessive way. To me, that adds an extra layer of fun and mystery to it. At this point, it doesn't feel like they'll ever answer those questions outright, so this is what I've got. I wanted to see that story, so I talked about it. And I really hope Red vs. Blue fans enjoy it. But there's one unanswered question, though. What became of Yellow Church?